Hello and welcome back to another episode of the CAYACast. I'm Brad. I'm joined today from our team by Gina again, and joining us today for the second time, technically first time that's going to go out, LUUKHANYO and Zander. LUUKHANYO, musician, songwriter, performer, one of the most talented people we've had the privilege of working with in the last couple of years. Zander, you're many things, a writer, a journalist in the music space, a manager as well. And how we like to start the conversation off, and for each of you in turn, whenever you've been introduced like that or in other situations, or when you think about it, what is the one thing about you that people wouldn't know to put in an intro that you think is really important?
A funny little baby toe.
Yeah.
This has gone.
No, joking.
The cameras weren't rolling. I thought it was safe. I was expecting LUUKHANYO these and Zander.
I don't know. I think that's pretty spot on. I think, I'm not really a fan of introductions. I just like to do my thing. So LUUKHANYO just suffices of anything. If you're Zander, manager, writer, and LUUKHANYO.
Zander?
I don't know. I'm trying to think now. What is it? Do people usually add like interesting things about themselves in this section?
Typically,
sometimes,
if they've got anything,
Multi-talented.
Like a musician that's never introduced as like a songwriter that they feel like is an important facet about them. Okay. But if you want to be mysterious, that's also totally fine.
I used to be an exceptional public speaker in primary school.
That's great. That sets you up as a great podcast candidate.
Yeah, I was allowed to go in grade 3, and usually only allowed in grade 5. So
what a lonely.
Don't know why that wasn't top of the list, front of mind.
Yeah,
people
to be honest,
need it
I'm sorry
tomorrow.
for not starting.
It's on
that.
LinkedIn, but
It's on LinkedIn. Incredible. Oh, okay. So, sure. Where to start? I think there's a lot of places I want to go and a lot of recent things that are happening, which I want to get into the meat of it. But I think we need to contextualize people on what it is you do. So I think, Luke, I'm going to start with you. Where did your musical journey start? And then we can let Zander take over at the point where he came into the picture, just to contextualize us up until the current period. Maybe say beginning of this year,
This year.
And then we'll get into depth.
Okay. My music journey sort of started when I was quite young. I remember getting introduced to hip hop by my older cousin, and he used to play like Dr. Dre, Eminem, 50 Cent when he was with the West Coast, Snoop Dogg, all the West Coast classics. And I remember I have this very clear memory of when I was a kid, and I would walk into his room and I'd start like mumbling and flowing along with the raps. And he was just impressed by how I got the flow on point. I couldn't even speak English at the time, barely even Xhosa. I just took a liking to rap, and pretty much it just sort of bloomed from there. I didn't quite participate in music for quite a long time. But I was just like a fan, and I was obsessed, and I'd study rap, and I'd listen to my favorite rappers, and I'd start writing my own raps as well to their instrumentals, but nothing that I was comfortable sharing then. And I think the first time I actually went on to release something, I was in varsity. I was doing my first year studying accounting, something I'm glad I let go of. I found myself in a place where I was just I had this burning desire to really experiment with music and sort of share my experiences and find my voice in it. And from that point, I just started experimenting. I released the first song under a different stage name. The song was titled Clouds Above, and it took off on campus, got quite a following and good reviews. And then from then on, it was just like a no-brainer. I just wanted to do more of it. And even to this day, I think I'd still consider myself a student. I'm still someone who's very much finding themselves as an artist, discovering my voice and what it is, what I want to put out to the world. But all of that is, I take bits of what I've experienced so far, but I'm still very much in the process of discovering myself as an artist. And yeah, I met this guy in university, funny enough, for the first time, but we weren't really friends. I just like, it's just this white guy. Okay. And I was actually quite cool friends with a mutual friend of ours, Rob. And yeah, we'd just like hang out together every now and then, but we weren't friends, but we had mutual friends. And then we bumped into each other in 2022. Funny enough, we were living in the same block of flats. And yeah, I walked past and I was like, this guy looks familiar. He's like, and I can see him.
That's what Brian
Yeah.
went to uni with.
Yeah, you know when someone is just like looking at you and you looking, but you don't want to.
Double take.
I'm like, what's going on? And I'm
Yeah.
like, Stellies. He's like, Stellies. I'm like, yeah.
Okay.
Like, Rob, Lukes, what's up? And then we ended up just going to chill in his apartment. And I didn't know at the time that he was staying with Zander. Just, chilling, sipping a few beers, playing some stuff. I'm playing him some music, which was unreleased at the time, High Roller. And then this guy walks in. And then
Into
we
my
just
home.
and we would
The
just like
cheek.
get reintroduced, and yeah, I think everything just sort of started to take shape with our relationship and our working relationship and our friendship from there. And yeah, it's been a journey since.
Zander, were you working with anyone like in the music industry before? Or like,
No.
what did you walk into the song was so good? You're like, I need a career.
I need a
pivot.
whole. I'm a change my whole career.
No, not at all. So I've always loved music, and I knew I wasn't gonna be. I never had the urge to be a musician myself. But I was always fascinated with the behind the scenes, whether it was the journalistic aspect of it, or the management, or the booking, whatever it might be. And so when I was at university, I was the entertainment editor at the student newspaper. So that was kind of my first into the industry outside of just being a fan. But the place I used to hang out used to always be somehow music related. So it used to be Stellenbosch, your Aardklas and your Bohemia,
place.
very much like rock music. And that was also mostly what my experience was in. And then Sky and I co-founded Let's Get Local together when it was the year where we met. And I think that was kind of what made Luke's approach me to be, because I was obviously just fanning out over the song that I just heard. And he saw that, and then also saw that, oh shit, this dude actually also knows a little bit about the local industry. Maybe we can do something together. And that's kind of just where it took off. We were both like, let's just learn from each other. That's why I started my career in music. So I was like, yeah, let's just learn from each other. And that's literally what it's been from day one. Like me going I don't know what's happening. You don't know what's happening. But somehow we're going to figure this out. And so far it's been working pretty well for us, I'd say.
I'd agree.
Yeah. So it's made it a lot more fun, because it wasn't a case of I'm working for a company that he approached, or vice versa, the same thing. It's always just been, definitely business was first, and then that went into a really good friendship, which now is even better than the work relationship. But the fact that you have that, which is also similar to the people that Luke's likes to make music with, there's almost always a relationship there, which has been very fruitful. Yeah, that's it.
Sure.
Yes.
And here we are. I mean, I'm trying to think back to when we first got in touch with you, because it was definitely around the time of the release of High Rollers. I'm trying to remember if it was just after or just before.
No, it was just before.
I think it was just before. And then we did the show, I think, late 2022.
Yeah, that was probably one of our. I think that was the first time we did a proper string of shows. Because I remember we did the Blue Room.
Yes.
On I think the Friday, and then we did Kaya on the Saturday. I just remember Gina's beautiful application process. I've been dealing with venues that some dude's WhatsApp number that you have to send something to, and then hope he gets back to you. And then all of a sudden there's someone that had a Google form with details about how things work.
I can't take all the credit. Brad is definitely our systems person.
It's fantastic.
But yeah, I mean, that's what we wanted. And I mean, I remember the show, and I was just losing my mind.
Yeah.
It was so special in so many ways. It wasn't the most packed room, but it was just,
I mean, the energy was just...
It's pretty indescribable, actually.
Yeah.
That was also pretty full High Rollers.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who it was. Yeah, it was...
Chili
Was it?
Bass, I think, was there.
Yeah, Chili Bass was there. That's before Charlie came in. Keenan was with us, and
Yes.
Elton was already with us.
Yes, that's what it was.
And
we
for
also
the one and
had-
only Charlie.
Yeah, we also had Abalu on the backing vocals
Yes.
for that one
Yes.
as well.
Yeah.
That was
And
really
yeah,
nice.
and I think that was late 22. So you guys had started working together in that year, and then I think we had booked you guys, and then High Rollers came out very similar time.
No, I think
Or
we were
did
it had just recently came out.
Yes, and
So
it was
we
the
were
promo
promoting-
run
yeah.
for yes, that's right.
Oh, I think I was thinking a little bit after that the music video was
Yes.
released.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was
Which
the
really
split.
like cement. I was like, oh my gosh, we heard this, and now there's this like incredible visual. I mean, the music video is something else on its own. I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, High Rollers was a big song. Talk us through. I mean, that process. I mean, I know we touched on it as well, but in the last one, but we have to talk about it now. In terms of the process behind the release, the visual side of things, I know that was really intentional, and I think so well executed. And even now, people like other musicians who talk to me talk about those videos as references from a just really well executed visual perspective, and that's really hard to do in today's day and age because there's so much of it. Talk us through High Rollers, because it was a big song, and the implications thereof for
Yeah, I made the song I started working on it in early 2022. Sometime in February, the year had just started, and I just moved into my place. And I was just working on some demos with Saya, and I remember making 2 demos on that one day, and we weren't particularly impressed or anything. It was just another day at the office. And I just couldn't get enough of the song. And I remember I was working from home at the time, so I had my little workstation over here, and I have the studio in the other room. And every time I get a little break, I'm running back to just go lay something, because I have this melody just going on in my head. And I think by the end of that day, I had just something the first verse, and I had the chorus in there, and I just couldn't stop playing it. And I knew I had something special with it. And from then on, it was just polishing the song, getting it to a place where we were ready to release. And when I had the idea for the visuals, usually they come while I work on the song. So I'll have glimpses of things that I want to execute. And then eventually, once the song was complete, I could sit down and put it together. And I remember going to Zander and telling him or explaining what this vision is, and he helped me put together this document where it's a sort of what do they call it?
A mood board.
A mood board kind of thing. And then we approached James, and then we made the video from there. But it was I think for me, the most interesting part about it was the fact that we made that with no budget. And we had to work with a lot of favors and a lot of creative, out the box thinking to try and make things work. So I think that's why even maybe people are able to use it as a reference. Because I've also met people who have told me bro, I saw your video, and then when I was working on someone else's video, I used it as a reference. And that's quite inspiring for me. It just goes to show that when you think outside the box, you can make anything happen with almost nothing.
Yeah. Massive shout out to James Heron.
Yes.
Yeah,
Big
we
shout
wouldn't
out
be
to
here
James.
without James. He's a very, very good friend of mine. We met each other before this, but got really close while I was studying journalism, because we were studying together. And I remember going to him with this mood board, and I was like, we have no money.
Yeah.
We could give you maybe a little bit, but even that, it won't make a dent in what you would usually charge. And he was just, we were staying together at the time. And he was just super passionate about what Luke's was doing, but also passionate about the idea that Luke's had for the video. And I remember on shoot, I had to constantly tone Luke's down, because every time he would have another idea to shoot something additional on shoot, and I was like, fuck. So I would go to James, and then James would already be keen to do it anyways, just because he was so passionate about the project. And he also recently did the LUUKHANYO Dingy shoot with us. Again, just firstly want to make it happen, and then afterwards figure out how we're going to make it happen, which is very, very cool.
Because even one of the pieces that we ended up getting for the short content on Instagram, which blew up on TikTok, that one we took while taking a break. We're literally just having lunch after been shooting for a few hours, and I'm looking up at this one balcony in this place that we were stationed at, and I was like, I think I got an idea. The sun is setting, it looks so beautiful behind me. Let's shoot something. So I was like, can't we just eat?
This is the first break of the day.
All that.
Just let James
lunch.
rest.
It's lunch and the sun is going down, please.
And it was literally one take, and that one take did us quite a good.
Yeah, 100%. That video played a massive role in where we are now, which is also why it's so important. Was so important for me to figure out a way for us to do socials in a way that made sense for Luke to not feel drained when doing it, because we needed to do it. That was a non-negotiable, just because we know the power that it has. But it was also a case of neither one of us are particularly fond of social media. So how are we going to figure out a way to make it something? And I think the way we did that is we made it better than what social media is, so that it feels like working on a music video or something more than that. It doesn't feel like working on a social media clip.
Yeah.
Because you've made it more than that.
Yeah. I mean, something we talk about is like content with integrity.
Yeah.
Like from like, and something like I talk with Nick about, like, yes, it's often we're making stuff for short form because that's just where the attention is. It's what you have to do to market in today's day and age. But it's like thinking about it more than that, you know, in terms of how are we going to, like add levels to it, cinematically, conceptually, storytelling, like all of those things. Then again, sometimes it's just the shit that you shoot on lunch break and do once that you didn't plan and is the thing that does well. And that's really the fun of creating content.
And
some
you have
call
a
it
friend
fun,
with
some call it torture.
And you have a friend with a really good Sony camera.
Fair enough.
It's the iPhone clip. It's the one. It's
But I think that's also just a testament to like there's really no formula. Like you can go out your way to try and replicate something that's been done already.
Yeah.
And that it works sometimes for some people, but I think sometimes we forget just to follow our heart and follow whatever fire we feel in the moment. And that for me, like in my short career so far, has made the world of a difference. Whenever I just like feel something inside and I feel like it's time to follow that path. Sometimes it's risky, sometimes you don't even know what you're doing, but just like you can strike gold quite a lot of times. And I think it makes for a better journey than just like feeling like you're clocking in just to make short videos just so people can listen to music. You go back to the music, you're like, maybe people aren't listening because the music isn't poppy enough, and you end up starting tweaking things about your art that take away from what the art is actually supposed to be. So I think always just taking a step back and looking at it from the angle where what are we trying to share, and that's the most important thing, and then how do we get people to pay attention to what we're trying to share. And it takes some figuring out sometimes.
Did you feel pressure after the release of High Roller to, well, I guess not put out something as popular or but to please that audience that you'd gained? Because you're speaking about like following your heart and staying true to your art, but I think even the most established and famous artists in the world struggle with that and balancing that with like their audience and what the audience wants.
Yeah, definitely. I think in my case, it wasn't like very hectic because there's people who blow up and there's like 10 billion or 10 million streams overnight. And you can imagine that amount of attention.
Just like,
I have to do something now. I have to please the people. And you can end up on, in a place where you didn't envision going or didn't even intend to go. And I think for me, it was like I got to get a glimpse of that, attention, and also still feel like I'm not in everyone's like radar to the point where I need to drop something now. And that allowed me to take a step back and just also, even in the midst of all of this, sort of popularity that I'm getting, what is it that I actually want to do with the art? And I think, also giving it maybe some time right now and some space in the song that's just like lived its own life. I feel like we're approaching the time for new stuff, but now I think it's perfect timing because also I have the idea that people are going to be able to see this for what it is as opposed to trying to make it another High Roller, which at the back of my mind was something I also had to overcome.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of want to touch on the release of that. Explain to me, there is a very exciting label deal in the picture. Was that after High Rollers? Was that before High Rollers? How did that happen? I think it's a really important part of the system and the infrastructure to spread awareness about. So how did that happen?
No, definitely. It was post High Roller. So it was that clip, I think, that got majority attention, because I think we're all very aware of, at this point, labels only really look at social media. So yeah, that clip definitely got most of the traction. And then we probably spoke to about 15 different labels in the space of like a month. Most of them based either in the UK or in the States. And the one that Luke's ended up signing with is London based. And the reason we ended up going with them is just because I think out of all the chats we had, they were probably the only one that only gave a shit about the art. So from the get-go, it was a case of like, we love what you did with High Roller, sick. But immediately they were like, do you have anything else you can share? And I think we played them Venture at the time.
Yeah. Smooth Operator.
Yeah, and Smooth Operator. And they were like, you can do this, Hassel. That's insane. And so we just had chats back and forth, especially the A&R person at the time was particularly passionate, and also the owner of the label. And we still, to this day, we were like, so Dan, who's the owner of the label, we love getting on a call with him because you just leave refreshed. Because he does, when I say the others didn't care about anything else but the art, Dan doesn't care about anything but the art. So he literally just, every time he just wants to hear more music and just has like the highest praise for Luke's. So we've been really lucky that's been because I don't think everyone has like the most pleasant of experiences, but I think it also plays into what you were saying, like it wasn't a 10 billion or 10 million like streams overnight kind of thing. There was traction which created an intrigue, but it wasn't to the level where it was like just major labels just throwing money at you.
Yeah. So which is always a trap anyways.
Yeah. we had one of those offers, which was, we were sitting at home and I like, Luke's messaged me because he got an email and he was like, have you looked at my emails recently? And I like, open it up and it was just an obscene amount of money. And I was like, no.
You know, if it looks too good and it smells too good, and it's good, probably is too good to be true.
You read the fine print.
Yeah. Sad. So also another very big plus was they were willing to pay for us to get our own lawyer to look at the contract, and they were going to cover his legal fees.
Sure, yeah.
So not even offering their legal person, because that's also a bit tricky.
Obviously.
And they covered all of his legal fees, which was obviously a massive green flag.
Yeah.
They were like, look at it, make sure you're happy. They were willing to listen to the stuff that we weren't happy with. So it's been really, really good.
That's so encouraging to hear, because I think, I think there is a growing awareness of the traps that people fall into through experiences, or through a lack of experience, and then experiencing and learning things the hard way with, the bigger labels, where they can throw an amount of money at you that you just like, that's more money than I've ever conceptualized having. And, people just say yes, and they don't read all the fine print, or they don't understand it, or they're not paying for your legal fees to have someone read through it with you, But I think it's also really important that we do talk about when there are labels and there are infrastructure spaces that are countercultural to that, because they do exist, and it is important not to paint everyone with the same kind of brush. Because
also my rule of thumb that Luke's and I always spoke about, because before this even happened, we were like, whatever label I had to approach, just so we on the same page and ready for it. My thing was always, if you're not willing to take out a personal loan of whatever amount they're going to give you, like to have the confidence that you can pay that back, you shouldn't ever take it. Because that's what
the interest rate's higher.
It's a loan. That's all it is. But also, like you said, it's definitely good to have the kind of conversations of, because I do think there's like especially locally, like an obsession with like independence in music, which is obviously counter labels, and also having that, and that's a conversation Luke's and I also had a lot before signing, was basically the trade-off you have to make is like, do you want this percentage of a lot more that they're going to help you get to if you sign with the right people, or do you want 100% of almost nothing?
Yeah.
Because you can stick to your independence as much as you want to, or you can work with good partners to get you a place where everyone wins out of the situation, and you don't lose independence in the places where it matters, like your art.
Yes.
Which is cool.
I think it's just the sort of dominating narrative of artists being fucked over by labels that's like sort of swaying people the other way. But like you said, like if it's the right people, there's really like the opportunity there. But
I'm really stoked that like we're hearing more conversations like that. Like I remember going to Internet Girls' release of the visuals for their project that dropped the other day, I think.
Yes.
And they made like a short film with a few of the pre-releases, and they only had praises for the label that they signed to. And they were like, they've been so good to us. They've been able to give us access to things that we would never have dreamed of. And no shame in being able to say that. I think it's because like we all hear those stories where like the fact that we're still in a space that like an 80-20 deal exists is fucking disgusting. But we also had a funny chat with one guy that was interested in signing Luke's. And he was also very like anti-label when he started his label. And he was like, we're going to do it different. And they flipped it on his head. So they went 80-20 the other way. So the label took 20. And he was like, it took 1 year. We realized that's not viable.
That's really stupid.
And he's like, we went back.
But I mean, even if it's not as upfront as like an 80-20 split, it's in that fine print. And just the horror stories.
I think, ultimately it's good that people have the conversation, and there is now the awareness, and artists, I think it's good if all artists are more skeptical of any deal they get offered, and they make sure and they know that people get fucked over. It doesn't have to mean that it's everyone all the time, but no one knows before they get fucked over. You know what I mean? And I think it's really important if everyone has that, that mentality, because it is, if you're going to make it a business, you got to think about it, from a business perspective. I really like that perspective of like, if you wouldn't take out a personal loan and back it yourself, don't take the deal. I think that's a really interesting lens, but one that I think is
smart.
very, 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 very valuable. Exactly. I want to quickly touch on something that's also been a huge part of your rise, and for me is actually the proving ground, and that's your actual live performances. So on the opposite side of things, 2 releases. And it's a very different kind of influence. It's a very different kind of building. It's a very different kind of all of those things. It's obviously, you can't do it to a multinational audience. It's who can get there and things like that. But I've always been of the very, very strong and probably biased, but hey, opinion that like if you can perform live, like what you can do on a record, I don't know who your producer is. There's some very talented producers. I know a lot of them. Like I've heard recordings, and then the final outcome of some, live is the proving ground for me. I was brought up on rock music like Zander, and it's so important. And it's also not just about being a good musician or knowing your set perfectly. It's about so much more than that. And I wanted to like really get into like what really is your like perspective on live performances? What's your like thesis on how you arrange your shows? Because there is an energy that is palpable, but very hard to describe. And like that doesn't just come from nothing. And I want to understand the thinking behind it.
I think for the most part is a collaborative effort between me and the High Rollers. I think I've grown so much as a live artist through working with them, because prior to that I'd only been in the studio and just doing backtracks, even to like get the confidence to now trying to venture more into doing singing kind of stuff and exploring with that side of my voice, because I was primarily just like doing rap. And I remember when I decided to start working with the live band, I really started to grow more. I think, if anything, I always just had stage presence, and I always just enjoyed being on stage. And that's something that came very naturally to me. But musically, I really have to give a lot of credit to the High Rollers, because I'd always like bring the songs and I'd bring the ideas, but it would always be like a group effort of how we arrange the songs, especially for the live shows, with Blessing being the musical director, the MD. They're very like quite technically skilled in jazz, and all these kind of genres where they come and they put like little intricate moments.
Mm.
And if sometimes it's just like even fun during a rehearsal where we know what we're trying to rehearse, but we'll just switch it to a different vibe, and then it works so well. We're keeping that for the show. So I think it's always just this room for experimentation and exploration where whenever we come together, it's just like we know what we're all capable of doing. We all comfortable with each other. Now let's just have fun with it and see where we can take it.
Yeah.
And even so on stage, because we'll have like sets that we rehearse and everything is so structured. But when we get on stage, sometimes if the vibe is different, we'll flip it on, on stage and do something different. And that's why I enjoy working with them as well, because there's so much room for just flexibility. And it's all about this energy that we create in this room and this magic that we're trying to just capture then and there.
Yeah, I mean, and it's certainly true that, like, I think the confidence you can have as a front man when you've got a band behind you that you can flip it, like someone can pick on a different vibe and everyone will just go, ooh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And just like flip onto it, and the like, the freedom and flexibility that gives you as a front man to really just like perform and have the, I mean, we had the high rollers. They came and rehearsed with Tegan for the show that they did at Armchair, and they rehearsed in the cafe, which was great. I had such a good evening. I was like, fantastic. It was great.
It's a free show.
I missed being at band practices and just like, like they'd be practicing something and then someone would like slip something and then like Blessing like slipped a key and then he was like, oh, I actually like that, and then everyone just jammed for 64 bars and then they were like, cool, that was fun. Like, and it's just like that creative, I think for people who haven't been in a band environment with a really good band that can really perform with one another as a single organism, like you can't understand it unless you've been in that kind of an environment and in a rehearsal room. Like it's different seeing it on stage because you don't understand everything that's happening. And yeah, I think it's always been such a big thing for me as well that's differentiated your performances from, obviously you've got a background and a rooting in hip hop, but the like liveness to it and the musicality to it and the melody to it has always been something that's, and that's in the songwriting and it's in the performance of it, and having a live band just adds so much to just everything.
And as you're speaking right now, I'm actually realizing how that's pretty much like me in a nutshell as an artist. Hip hop was my first introduction to music, and then through hip hop I got to like explore all these other different avenues through sampling, through like where I'd hear a sample and go find out the original track and it's some like blues number, and it just gets me in my feels, and it'll also like almost like open a window to the sort of things that I'm actually trying to explore and where I'm trying to go musically, and I get to now explore all of those things on stage, because I always bring it back to rap. I'll always rap and have a verse in a song or something, but even when I'm doing that, there's room for me to take it to other avenues, and all of this is tied down by just like hip hop.
And I mean, it's what for me makes your sound so unique, and like I've always struggled to even describe to people what like a show is like, because it's like, so like hip hop like uses like a broad like lens, but like very broad, and then like there's a band, and then there's also going to be like he also sings, and that's fucking so cool. So it's like it's like you'll have fun, like, and yeah, I mean that's, I think we've been lucky to be witness to that a few times at the cafe and then up the creek, and I think this year as well for you guys has been big in that you just got back from Bushfire Festival, which is very, very exciting. And I'm so excited to hear about how that experience was. Playing a festival like that, which is always from my perspective, had such a good reputation, within the South African, even though it's not in South Africa, but within our, it's definitely within our scene.
Definitely, we bump into a lot of South Africans there. Also, a lot of people from Mozambique, Swaziland people, of course. But it's just like this melting pot of just like Southern Africa, and it was the biggest festival that we've performed at. This like till to date. The reception was well. The treatment was amazing. Like I could go on. And I just remember we arrived on the Swaziland people are very relaxed. Let me just say that. They're too relaxed for my liking. We rock up, bro. We're at the airport. We have to be on stage in like the next hour. So we're waiting at the shuttle for some guys coming from Joburg. I don't know who this guy is. This guy doesn't pitch. So we just there like, okay, can we please, make a plan? We need to go straight to stage.
Yeah.
Swaziland driver's just like, yeah, we'll get there. Don't worry.
You're like, no, get there. Too
I'm, I'm losing it low key. I'm like, God, Jesus, take the wheel.
Please, right now.
Were you there, Zander?
No, that was the worst part.
So that's the crazy part. Like,
Shame.
only one person got a Swazi sim. It was
Oh,
Alton,
crazy.
which is renowned the worst communicator in the band.
he takes the crown. It's an art at the level he does it.
So I'm messaging like the artist liaison, like trying to figure out, and I just get a message of like, driver's on his way. I'm like, he just.
So it was their shuttle.
Yeah.
shuttle.
No, yeah.
So it was
okay.
late.
No. So I
Well, at
think
least I guess that makes it their
so
problem.
I'm assuming that it was probably Air Swatini's shuttle that they just made use of.
Okay.
Yes.
But just getting a message like driver just left. I'm like, from where?
Yeah.
But eventually, like everyone got to
Oh, my
stage
word.
before when they needed to. So
Because that's the thing. It was just like the people were friendly and very helpful. But it was just
So chill.
they very chill. That's something. Once you get over that, it's happy days.
and if you take
along
that
with them.
away, it will also not be the same festival.
Yeah, because that's
Yes.
another thing. Like, the people are so down to earth. I remember even something like very little. I was about to hop on stage and I asked this guy for a drink. He's like, we wasn't in the rider. And I'm just like, I just need something to get on stage. And he's like, okay, let me make a plan. Does this man not come through with like a full bottle of liquor? I'm like, okay.
All right. I don't need all that on stage.
I mean, are we trying to start
This
the
is
show?
going to be a
What?
different performance.
But yeah, like the people were so kind. I remember because we even had like some trouble with the police. It was like a lot of traffic, and this guy like literally ran what felt like a kilometer to fetch us, and then is like just shooing the police out of the way so we could get on stage like on time. So we're hurrying up there with our luggage, just I gotta change at the parking lot quickly. It was such an experience, it was such a vibe, and then we get on stage. They literally like, the DJ was playing after us, had to play before us because we were running late with the shuttle. And we made it like on a time where his set was about to end. And as soon as we arrived, they almost like literally carrying the DJ off the stage. We get on stage. It's a nice little intimate crowd. People who are taking a break from like main stage and stuff. They're just hanging out there. And yeah, we started off with like a group of like 10 people. Before I knew it, we had like somewhat like 50 there just like vibing with us. And yeah, it was exciting. And then those people, we just like got to speak with them. But we were mostly tired after that. So we went back to the hotel, had an easy night. And then the Saturday was a really, really good show. We got to just relax, have some breakfast with the boys, caught up, chilled a bit. Then I changed and I was looking so fly. Thank you, LUUKHANYO, doing it damn. And yeah, it was just set up for such a good performance. And we rocked up to the stage. I think the venue had been vacant for like some time because people were just like scattered everywhere. And I remember when we were performing the first song, Smooth Operator, it was literally, someone sent me a video. It was literally 2 people that we started off with who were just in front there vibing with us. And then someone sent me a video when we did the last song, when we were doing the high roller medley, when we got to the whole thing part. And it was just like this sea of people just like screaming the lyrics back at me. And wow.
I remember seeing that clip. I was like, fuck, that's so cool.
It was amazing. Like the reception was so cool. And I think I also enjoy that, arriving at a place where no one has heard about me, no one has heard about my music, they don't know about the high rollers, they don't know about what we do, and just building that trust with an audience and just allowing them to go certain places, and them like giving you their energy on stage and being like, wow, okay, we liking where this is going, and them just being so receptive. It's one of my favorite things, and that's why I enjoy the live performances so much. As much as we can come up with these songs, and I enjoy the studio just as much, don't get me wrong. There's also something just very different about being in a place where you get to make the music come alive and everyone just like, be a part of it.
Fundamentally different, and to each there's value to both.
Yeah.
You can't do certain things, like you can't focus and get introspective and write a song in front of hundreds of people. Like
I've seen it happen.
like okay, yeah, I shouldn't say can't, but it's probably not most people's most conducive environment.
Yeah.
But to see the impact your music has on people. I mean, there's like that, you don't see that in numbers on streaming, you know, like that's not the same as seeing people sing your song back to you because it resonates to them, you know, like that's, and I think that for me is the magic of live music, and you can't capture that. And I mean, your sets have always, like every time I've seen it, there's been so, even though I've become familiar with the songs, it's such a different set every time. And I think you guys, yeah, I mean, like, I know you guys with Up the Creek as well, and we were lucky there was a few artists on that stage that people, like, you know, most artists people didn't know the names of. And people just came away afterwards just like, oh my God, who were those guys? Like, what was that?
Yeah.
And like, for me, just being a part of that was so cool. And I know that's the impression that that you guys can make. Talking now about shows and releases, I believe there are releases coming soon. Finally,
Yes.
the time has come. Talk to us about
Thank
that.
the Lord.
Can I drop dates?
You can perspective. Yeah, we don't have a number.
Yeah. Okay. I'll drop seasons towards spring.
Cool.
We got a few releases lined up. I've been working on an album very quietly, and it's really now materializing into something that I'm getting more and more ready to share with the world. And that's just been a very interesting process of its own, because I've never compiled an album before. I've always just like wrote songs and made songs just in isolation as with the song itself, but now trying to take a step back and put together a series of songs that tell a story, and also just like reflect on who I am as an artist and where I am in this part. There's been a very interesting process, and one that I'm learning as I go. I collaborate with a lot of incredible artists, so I pick up on a lot of things that, you know, everyone brings to the studio. With the team as well, they've like, you know, worked with other artists that have, you know, released some very successful albums, and just to hear their input and all of these things are pouring on into me as an artist. Because as I said, I'm still very much, I think I'm still very much at the you know, foundations of who I am as an artist, trying to really discover the things that I want to bring to life and how I can go about bringing those things to life. And to have all of these things at my disposal right now, you know what I mean, at such an early stage in my career, is nothing short of a blessing. But that process alone has taught me a lot about who I am, like having to take a step back and write more introspective things, and just it's always like therapy to some point, because like I'll spend a day just writing, and then 2 days just like, damn, taking it all in. And yeah, all of these things that I get to discover about myself, learning new things about, like, as I'm learning to do things vocally, going back into studio and you know, experimenting with those things, implementing those things, and coming up with different sounds that I've never created before, has been very interesting. So now we're getting to a point where there's going to be some singles dropping. So yeah, I don't want to say dates yet, so I'll just say as we approach spring.
Couple of months.
That's very
Just-
exciting.
Just go follow the homies so you can't miss out. You know, like,
You know what I
you
mean?
gotta
Just
just so you don't miss out.
Go on Insta, hit
No,
you.
you'll know we've worked too long on this album.
Yeah, you won't need to follow him. Actually, it's fine. You'll find out regardless. After you.
This might be a hard question, just because the way you're describing it, you're sort of like evolving, like as an artist, like all the time. But how similar would you say, like, LUUKHANYO as an artist and like as a stage persona is to like who you are, not on stage, not in like artist mode?
I think it's like a perfect balance. I think LUUKHANYO off the stage is very different to LUUKHANYO on the stage, but it's not two different people, it's two halves of the same person. And me, I'm very calm. Like when you meet me, I'm very shy. I'm to myself, and don't get me wrong, I'll speak, I'll talk shit when I feel like it.
In the right environment.
I'm very confident and reassured in who I am and all those things, but I'm also very introverted, and I like my own space. And when I get on stage, I feel like I have this platform now to really, you know, allow the other side of myself to come to life, where I'm very extroverted, and I crack jokes on stage. I'm like, I say a lot of shit. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes I see
like, who's that?
I see people's reactions as I say the shit. I'm like, man, maybe I'm going to.
Yeah, if I'd been in the crowd.
Let's just get back to the music. But
Yeah.
it's really two
That's
sides
cool.
of the same person, where I get to sit back, and I think I'm also just like blessed to be surrounded by people who are very down to earth, because I get to, when I'm not on stage and I'm not like in studio or making music, I get to be an actual human being, which for me is very important. I never see myself as anything more than that. That's always something the ground that I always come down to is I'm just a person having a life experience just as much as everyone else is. And yeah, to be able to have that experience and not let everything get to my head and, take on the superstar persona, but also when the time comes, I show up and I'm just myself. It's not me putting it on. It's just allowing a different part of myself to shine.
Beautiful.
Well said. I want to, before we head into our like normal
Wrapping up.
closing section, I want to quickly, June is Men's Mental Health Month, and a lot of your writing is very personal and very reflective and very, self whatever. And we've touched on as well the negative consequences of any amount of fame. I think we've kind of talked about, like, I think the 0 to 10, 10 million is a huge jump. But as a performer, how has your mental health been in the environment? And what recommendations would you have, whilst you may feel you're still really early on in things, in a lot of ways, you're also a lot further than a lot of people starting out and where the advice is most important. What advice would you have for other young artists and, I mean, generally, but other young men in the industry for, how to take care of that element of themselves?
I think one thing that can be very easy to do is to forget that you're not just an artist and that you're also a human being, is because I think that's where personally a lot of growth has come about in the past year or so, where after seeing like things pick up in my career and see the opportunities and where this thing has the potential of going, I almost had to take a step back, and I think it showed me a lot of things, like all the things that I was trying to live up to are now possible, but in other ways of my life, am I growing and I'm allowing myself to be the person who's going to embody, that whatever I'm working towards. And that had to do with a lot of just like self-work and understanding who I am, understanding the things that I'm passionate about. And because also like with a certain amount of popularity, there's people's opinions in your ears, people trying to, with the best intentions, coming up to you, telling you do this, do that. And it's so easy to lose yourself in that and find yourself in a place where you're not even enjoying what you're doing anymore, and you're just doing it for the sake of this. And I've seen like artists locally also just like lose themselves in that and end up just pursuing like people's approval. And it's so easy to find yourself in a place where you do that. And I think just always taking a step back and just understanding like, okay, there's all of this noise around you, but the answers always lie within. I always look inside and try to ask myself, what is it that I actually want? When do I feel most happy? What are the things that I'm positively contributing to, my state of mind right now and where I want to be? And sometimes you just got to do the hard work. Being surrounded by very supportive people like Zander, you see me at like some of my worst states.
I was thinking of the haircuts. That's always a good representation of the mental state.
Yeah, I've chased so many haircuts.
Sometimes it's like you just couldn't get to that last braid.
Yeah, and I think it's just that. Like one thing about me is I like to humble myself and try to ground myself and understand that with all the things that I want to achieve through music, I want to be able to heal people. I want to be able to positively influence people's lives and inspire them. A lot of the reasons why I do this used to be solely for my own pleasure, but as I grow older, they're moving on to reflect the things that I want to see in the world. And also that has to do a lot with like what parts of myself do I need to change to see that change in the world. And I think that's what some of the music is also going to show as the album comes out, is that's the journey that I've been on. And that's why I think with that, it's really opened up my perspective of who I am as an artist and what I want to go on to sort of put out as an artist. And that's why I think I'm very much, opening that shell, breaking that shell, and I'm starting to see pieces of myself. And that's what's bringing me a whole lot of excitement right now. Is I can't wait to be able to reflect that on through my arts, via music, through my visuals, and also through how I present myself, through my fashion. All of those things are things that I'm very much excited about right now, and I can't wait to share with the world.
I'm so excited. Before we wrap things up, because
That's what you said before.
Okay, well now we're okay. So one of the things you mentioned there was the importance of being surrounded by supportive people, and we've mentioned throughout collaborators that have been a part of your journey with James, LUUKHANYO Dingi, and yeah, how we like to end this show off is by giving you the opportunity to shout out some people that you think are just doing really, really cool work
like that.
in whatever, just like cool locals that are doing cool shit. So, Luke, I'm going to start with you and then let Mr. Let's Get Local himself wrap things up.
There's
Like
a lot.
the intro to like all these like shout out to Ty.
Hide you, daddy. Damn. Thank you to Zander. Thank you to Sky. Thank you to Rob. The Let's Get Local team. Thank you to James. Thank you to my peers. Like, my mother. Mama, I love you so much. Thank you to my brother. There's so many people that I have poured into me, and within the music space and outside, there are a lot of artists that are inspiring me right now. People that I've been working with, Killer G, Saya, someone I've been cooking up with, Sake, who I've been in the studio with, James, who joined us in Swaziland because Blessing couldn't come through with something with his, and he was cooking on stage. The High Rollers, who I've just had the pleasure to play with and grow with, and who have just inspired me so much as an artist. ISO, Ortoa, the brothers who are they cooking up amazing stuff. Sasha also cooking up amazing stuff. He's my housemate. I live with some of the best people. This guy would just like make croissants from scratch out of nowhere. And I just I wake up to the
like a roommate goals I've heard it.
And he makes some beautiful music. Like literally everyone I'm surrounded by, all of my housemates. I'm forgetting names as we go. But I think the scene right now in Cape Town is so ready. I don't think I've ever heard it this ready. And even people that I'm who are not in my immediate circle or who I don't really collaborate with, I see them from a distance doing their thing, and I can't just help but applaud what they're doing. I think what we're doing in Cape Town right now is very interesting. The flavor that's coming out, I'm very excited about, and it's a blessing to be a part of, because I get inspired by so many artists. I go to live shows and I hear different things and experience different things. And all of these things, it may not be things that I take on to go and implement directly in my own music, but it lingers in there, in the back of my mind, and subconsciously these things pour into the artist that I am. So yeah, like I'm grateful. Names are not coming to mind, but you know yourself. If you've ever played a pivotal part or just did anything in my career, you know how much I appreciate that and how much that means to me. So yeah.
Well said, sir. Zander.
I'm speaking of the people you miss.
Please. Manager.
Thanks to you guys, firstly. You guys played a massive role in what we've done. Juliet has been fantastic.
Yes.
Lara has been fantastic.
Yes.
Jackie Queens.
Yes.
She's been incredible. Foof. He's Luke's biggest fan, I think.
He's been to like what?
Too many shows.
80% of our shows.
More shows than some of the band members.
Yeah, we got to do something really cool with him where we played at the Baxter as a fundraiser for him, and we raised enough funds to get him to go to Japan to go do his black belt. And yeah, that was such like a cool thing. Things like the fact that we get to do that, and we don't even need any help from anyone big, but we get to collaborate with ourselves and make our dreams come true.
Yeah. Who else is there? Danilo.
Yes.
He's been incredible. Tourmaline's been fantastic.
Yes.
Kolwani's been fantastic.
Our calls.
The one and only. Pilo and James from Let's Get Local.
Yes.
They've been incredible. I I feel like we are definitely missing some people.
It's a lot.
Everyone misses people.
It's a
Thanks
lot
to,
of
to Ray that you're gonna do a song with at some point.
Hopefully one day.
We're both just obsessed with her.
Yeah, and she like I think someone who has grown to be probably my favorite artist of all time is Nina Simone. I can't get enough of her stuff. And Ray for me is like, she may not be like Nina in any way, but just takes me there with her music as well. She's really, really incredible.
Agreed. Yeah.
Also, I feel like the Howlers deserve a name shout out.
I think they did.
I did. Yeah.
But they deserve a double. Okay, true.
It's Blessing.
Yeah.
Always coming up with some beautiful pieces. Always just a breath of fresh air to be around. Musical genius. Keenan on their guitar, always screaming. Do that thing at the
That
show.
thing sings.
Oh, it sings, bro. It sings. Sometimes I lose myself on stage while he plays that thing. Charlton, who is like multi-talented, he just brings so much to the group.
He's a lovely human being.
He's so smooth on that bass. Like I've even told the boys, like sometimes like
he's just. It looks so chill.
He'll hold that groove, and for me, like rhythm is very important to me because like that's like primarily I'm a rapper, so I always like find pockets to play in. And when him and his brother are just like locked in on the groove, and I'm just like, I'm in the flow state.
Dude.
Yeah, and he just is an incredible producer as well, and he's very young. To meet someone who's just that focused and that disciplined and that, you know, just like a breath of fresh air to be around at his age is really, really amazing. And his brother is just the calmest, most relaxed human being you'll ever
Elton
meet.
has never had a worry in this fold.
Fam. But yeah, man, I'm really blessed to be able to work with those guys.
And lastly, the guys at the label.
Oh yes,
shout out to
Who
the Who Good people.
Come on, Dan. A big shout out to the homie who discovered me as well, Jack, who is no longer working with the label, but yeah, he brought me to the team, and the people that I'm working with are very, very incredible people. And just to have the opportunity to do what I want to do and have them just like, you know, champion that and always be on my side and trying to figure out what it is that I want to put out and not try to enforce their own agendas. But it's very much a collaborative effort, and I get to learn from them. Yeah.
I think that's it.
If I forgot you,
We've definitely
it
forgotten
wasn't by
someone. I'm so
intention,
sorry.
yeah.
I'm just going to say Sky
It's-
again, just in case.
Yes. He doesn't want to fight.
Because she deserves
Well
a double
said.
shout out.
Well said.
Yeah.
If they forgot, it's because it's a horrible question to feed somebody, and
Also,
you
if
all,
you've ever like
even if you
anything
prepare.
Luke's has worn, that's also Sky.
Yes. Oh.
Outside of LUUKHANYO and Dingy's
Also, like,
recent stuff.
How could I
Yes.
almost forget? Like a really good friend of mine and like a mentor of mine, and Dabi Sosochani, is like a guy who met me back when I was in Stellenbosch, and this guy is just like, yeah, I have phone calls with him every now and then. We don't get to speak much like with anyone in my life because I'm not really on social media like that. But yeah, it's someone who really just like inspires me so much. And he got to get this custom piece made for me, a 2-piece by Sir Anthony Jeans, and they're making some really, really incredible stuff. So shout out to them.
Nice.
I'm really excited to see what they put together.
Super exciting. On that note, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us again, and for the conversation, and thank you for the part you've played in our journey as well. It's been such a privilege to get to know you better and work with you more and more, and yeah, cheers to the future. I'm so excited to see what happens for you musically, for you as a part of that, and then also with Let's Get Local and the work you're doing there to support the industry on a larger level and the other artists that you will work with. Just thank you to you both for being a part of our spaces and being part of what inspires us to do what we do. So thank you. Thanks, Gina, for joining us.
You're so welcome.
Um,
Unexpected thank you there.
And thank you to you. If you've listened and watched so far, make sure you go and check out everybody's links in the bio. You know what to do. And like and subscribe so you get more content about really cool people doing cool shit in the Cape Town and South African creative industries.
Nice.
Thank you. Bye-bye.